Hi, Warren Knight here, and I'm excited to be opening up Netbase Quid Live 2020. You've got 2 days packed full of amazing speakers sharing case studies, data, strategies, methodologies to really help you survive and thrive in this current environment. So I'm going to be here today to talk to you about the future digital customer. I'm going to be taking you through 3 different concepts, 3 different methodologies for you to be thinking about what your future customer looks like and how to engage with that future customer. But before we get started, let's have a little bit of fun. I would like to share something with you about, well, the very first time I stepped into the business world, and that was being a professional hip-hop dancer. Yeah, that's right, that's me, just there. No, actually that's not. I wish I did have a picture of me back in the day. So we're talking about 1989 was actually when I first got paid to do what I love as a professional hip-hop dancer. But what I'd like you to do now, please, is engage with us. Let's start the day as we mean to go on. So please, inside of the chat box, please just share with us something that you used to do many, many years ago. Something that maybe your colleagues don't know about you. Put it in, maybe you used to play the flute, or maybe you swam, for your local county, whatever it might be. Just put it into the chat box and let's just get start engagement going on today. Now, while you're doing that, I want to share with you the reasons why I'm here today and a bit of a story behind what I used to do. I went from being a professional hip-hop dancer actually to then starting my very first business at the age of 22. That's right, I had a stall down in Camden Market. And there were 3 reasons why I had that stall. Number 1 was to sell products. Number 2 was to understand the customer. What better way when you're running a distribution company, selling products to other retailers that are selling to clients, than actually be the one selling directly to those clients, to truly get an understanding of what's important to them. And the third one, of course, was to meet girls. I was only 22 years old, so it was a great environment. Rain or shine, I was down there every single weekend. And that then took me on a bit of a journey of running my business till I was 27 years old, got burnt out, ended up having a conversation with a guy who took me for lunch and working with him for 11 years. They had factories over in China. And that for me was my next level of engaging in the corporate world. I worked with Disney, Nickelodeon, Sainsbury's, Carrefour, Dollarama over in the States, all of the big retailers that were selling products. 11 years I did that for. In 2007, I had a bit of a life shift and I got to understand the power of technology for business. So I stepped into the digital marketing world, the digital arena of how brands and organizations can connect with customers. And once again, I saw a need in the market and I decided to create something. I decided to build something and look at potentially having a bit of a legacy with what was going on. So I built a product called Glupal. Glupal, as you can see here, it was an e-commerce platform designed for small to medium-sized companies to have a big brand experience. We were the first UK company offering integration into social media, offering social selling. I got investment into that business. I had shareholders, I had staff, offices down in Shoreditch. But unfortunately, when I went out for my second round of investment of £1 million, I ran out of cash, which is a typical story when it comes to startup companies. So during that process of going into liquidation, once again, it put me in a place where I wasn't happy with my life and I wanted things to change. Now, after the liquidation, I decided to actually go and write a book all about my journey. The journey that I went from working out of China through to working with technology and some of the strategies and the failings that I went through during that journey, with strategies to have a different mindset around what's going on. And so if we're talking about mindsets and we're thinking about how we can do things differently, I decided to do things differently. Now, because I was busy, I didn't have a lot of time. So what I decided to do was pick up my mobile phone, grab my app, click on my app and upload a picture. That's right, that's a picture of me. Can you tell the difference of me going? No, that wasn't a picture of me, but I did happen to use a different picture because I've got a bit grey hairs here. And I decided to swipe right here to this lovely 25-year-old who actually wasn't 25 years old. But the moral of the story is be careful what you wish for, because actually we ended up getting married. So because of Tinder, I met my wife. And we then realized very quickly that there was something that was missing in our lives together. And I started to embrace technology again. And we went through 3 rounds of fertility treatment to be able to get our beautiful little girl called Dixie. So this is Dixie you can see here. She's with Mavis and Hey Hey. We've got 12 chickens at the moment, actually. But Dixie didn't want to stop there. And the reason why I had to go through IVF is because 20 years ago, I got told I could never have children naturally. Well, lo and behold, Dixie decided that she wanted a little sister. And then Blossom came along completely naturally. So for me, it was buy one, get one free. And I decided to move outside of London and actually become a beekeeper. So in my front garden, I've got about 100,000 bees in the height of the summer. It's probably dropped down to about 10 or 15,000 bees at the moment. But this is a passion that I have, and it's something that I love to do. Enough about me. Let's talk about you. Let's talk about the mindset that we need to have to really think about thriving in the future. And if we're going to do that, we need to embrace the new medium. We need to open our arms up. We need to think differently and look at other ways of achieving our goals, our outcomes in regards to what we want to do. Because whilst we might think about this is where we would love for our clients and our customers to be using virtual reality, but the reality is this is where we are right now. We're in a second lockdown in the UK, and our customers and our clients are turning to mobile phones with masks on. And this is the reality of where we're at right now. Now, to frame what I want to share with you next, I'd like to share a little quote with you. I'd like to share a quote with you from somebody that we all know and is probably the richest man on this planet. So this is Mr. Jeff Bezos. And if Jeff Bezos says, we see our customers as invited guests to a party, and we are the hosts. It's our job every day to make every important aspect of the customer experience a little bit better. So if this is what Jeff Bezos says, let's take this, let's embrace this and take it into what we're going to be calling the next medium. So here we are, into the new medium. Now, before we get into the new medium, I want to talk about you. I want to talk about what is it that's important to you. And if we're going to have a digital mindset, we're going to shift from analog to digital, we need to take some time out. We need to go on a digital commute. Every day, the majority of us would travel to work and travel home from work. That's been taken away from us. When I went into lockdown, number one, it was probably the thing that I missed the most. The quality time of just talking to a friend or grabbing a Starbucks while I was in my car, putting my music on in the car, taking some time out just to jump on my bike and go for a ride. So as I'm taking you through these 3 different stages and the new medium being number 1, I want you to be thinking about you and your digital fitness and thinking about ways how you can go on that digital commute, grabbing that cup of coffee, turning all the lights off at home, closing your eyes, going for a walk, whatever it might be, take some time out for you. Because McKinsey have come out with a great report, and I'm going to share it with you right now. There are 5 ways to emerge stronger in this new normal. But you've got to be the one that's strong. Because number 1, multi-speed management in regards to, we have to think about ourselves. We've got to think about the technology that we're using. And we have to think about the epicenter that's around us, the one that we've created to really drive our business forward. Number 2, we have to reimagine. Now, McKinsey call it reimagination. Whether it's rethinking, remapping, remastering, pivoting, whatever words you want to use, let's think about doing things differently. How can we create a digital revenue stream for our business? Let's reimagine what that would look like. Step number 3, let's get specific with data. As I said, you're going to be hearing from some fantastic speakers that are going to be talking to you about how to best use data and how we can revolutionize the way that we've been thinking at the moment. Get granular with that information. Don't leave any stone unturned in this new medium. Step number 4, do what I didn't do. I didn't self-fund. I did for the first year and a half, but then I went out and got investment. Was that the right or the wrong thing to do? Well, hindsight's a great thing. I've heard some incredible stories of how companies have focused on the customer. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that later on. So let's self-fund for growth. And finally, we want to have that omni-channel experience, that environment where we are talking the same tone of voice across multiple platforms and environments. And at the very last point of today, I'm going to be talking to you about a new way of thinking, a new way of doing. So based on McKinsey's report, they turned around and said, actually, 40% of consumers during lockdown, now this report was collated during lockdown, 40% of consumers decided to work with a new brand or try out a new retailer. 40% of people. What else was important to them? Using their mobile phone. We're out and about. We're doing things differently now. There's been a 13% increase of people turning to their mobile phones and engaging with brands. For the people that are sitting at home, the browser experience has been their number 1 reason why they stopped working with one particular organization and moved to another brand that might have been more, well, I'm going to come to that a little bit later on. Speed, as in the speed of your website. How quickly does your website load? There were some great tools out there to test this. There's been a 15% increase in people not wanting to wait and wanting to get to the answer to their question quickly and easily. Delivery is key, not only free delivery, but free collections. If you're in the retail space, 6% increase there. And last but not least, navigation, not navigation on your digital environments, but your physical. How transparent are you being and letting people know where they need to go and when and how, and giving them all the information that they need that's important to them. Now, I've had a lot of conversations. I've had the pleasure of working over 20 odd countries over the last few years and been continuing to do so. 10 days, in just 10 days, they've been able to accomplish what they were thinking about doing in 10 months. And for some of my Middle Eastern clients, for instance, it's actually been 2 years they've had to fast track that process. So by having to embrace and go for this digital adoption, the biggest thing that I've seen is a dividing line. Is a dividing line between the ones that have embraced this new medium compared to the ones that haven't embraced a new medium. So let's reflect. Let's reflect back. I have fond memories of going into Woolworths, getting my pick picking up my 12-inch record and feeling like I got a great experience. 41 days, 800 stores, gone. Now, we know this isn't the only story in the retail market at the moment. And I'll probably hear of brands on a weekly basis disappearing. But what does the customer want? Let's go back to the future of the digital customer and let's really think about what's important to them. So if there's been a massive increase in mobile phone use, how can we give that customer what they need? Real-time information that's relevant to them, not necessarily that is our industry, but actually that's relevant to them. And so if we're going to do this, there is something that we need to do as an organization. And that is, no, it's not sit in a bath with a glass of wine like Darth Vader. It's actually all about being transparent. So I've got a couple of little case studies for you, a couple of examples for you of how transparency can work in the retail space. As you can see here, we've got very simply a QR code on a garment. Low barrier entry, doesn't cost a lot to set this up. But from a customer perspective, if they can understand all of the different touch points of where the garment started its journey, all the way through to being in the hand of the customer, we're sharing some transparency, we're sharing some trust about our organization and our customers. Embracing emerging technology. I've seen some fantastic examples of this in the marketplace at the moment. And I think Volvo are really driving this forward. They have a digital ledger. Cobalt, the material that sits inside of our electric batteries, mined over in the Congo, collected, produced, manufactured into electric battery, then placed into the Volvo car. The Volvo car is then shipped to the dealer, and then the happy customer collects their new Volvo electric car. And all of this is built on blockchain technology. All of this is about transparency with what we've got going on. So the last thing that I'd like to share with you in the particular area of embracing the new medium, change the environment and not the people. You have great people that work with you. Let's embrace this new medium and give them other ways of thinking and doing. Next, digital leadership. How can you drive this digital adoption within your organization? And from my perspective, it's all about digital leadership. So what I'd like to do for you now is I'd like to share a framework with you. This is based on research, this is based on data, and this is based on me working inside of organizations and getting a better understanding of why certain parts of an organization are going through a digital transformation rather than just a change. So I'd like to share these with you. Step number 1, communication. It's a very powerful word. Is there enough cross-team collaboration? Are you truly aligned to the business goals? Not the business goals of the CEO getting up at the beginning of the year and actually talking to the team, but where we are now. Lockdown 2. What is the reality look like as far as how we're communicating? Point number 2, being customer centric. Do you truly understand the effect that this has on the relationships? Have you sat down and understood the customer's viewpoints to really help you make daily decisions? Step number 3, autonomy, I think is the biggest word that comes out of this. Are we giving people enough autonomy to do what they're good at? They're the subject experts. They're the ones that know what they're doing. Is there enough accountability happening there? Are we embracing innovation to be able to achieve that outcome? And coming back to what I was talking about earlier, speed and performance. Are you up to date with the latest trends? Are you up to date with the latest technology that you've got in your organization at the moment? If not, you need to refresh it. Or we could actually look at just retaining some new talent. Generation Z's coming into our workforce. They think and do differently to millennials. You bring in a digital native into your team and you nurture them and you give them the opportunity to growth. They will be the ones that will really help you drive your business forward. Now, to do this, I'm going to come back to one very important point. And that is, who are these people? Who are all of these people? Because all of these people, these customers need a bloody good listening to. That's who they are. They need a bloody good listening to. So when was the last time you actually listened to your customers? Because ultimately, if we can achieve this outcome, what we can do is we can make sure that our customers become the hero of our stories. The way that we communicate out there online, whether it's through email marketing, paid advertising, social media, your own digital community, whatever that looks like. Make the customer the hero of your stories. And to do that, sometimes we just need to be a little bit brave. We do need to be kind, but we also, to think differently, need to start thinking about building a community. How can we build a community of people? I like to call them fire starters, because as you saw before, back in the day, I used to be a professional hip hop dancer and I used to dance for the Prodigy. And one of their famous songs was Firestarter. So how could you find your fire starters, your brand advocates, those influencers to help you build a stronger community? Now I've got another question for you where I want a little bit of engagement again from you, please. What I would like to do is, I would like to ask you, would you like to know the secret to digital leadership? Would you like that magic pill? Would you take a red one or would you take a blue one? Give me a yes or a no, whichever way I am sitting at the moment, left, down, upside down. Give me a yes or a no in the chat. Just give me a yes if you'd like to know it, no if not, and that's no problem at all. We'll just have a virtual hug. But if you'd like to know the secret to digital leadership, just give me a yes in the chat. Great, okay. So from my perspective and everything that I've gone through over the last decade plus of working with companies, it's thinking about doing things differently. Now, back in 2010, I built my tech company on the AGILE framework. And yet today, the one thing that's differentiating organizations to be able to act quickly is all about business agility. Having business agility right now, being able to, as I mentioned earlier, being able to pivot quickly, to be able to reimagine, is where organizations from a customer perspective are sharing the love right now. They're being loved because they've had business agility in regards to how the teams work, how our online presence now works, how we've had to have agility around embracing this new medium, during or pre or post lockdown, whatever that might be. So business agility and the framework around business agility is where you will be able to thrive in the future. So last but not least, sense making. Now this is a theory, a practice. There's been white papers that's been written on this for decades. And it's always been about how a group of people behind a closed door can collectively make a decision because they've gathered other pieces of research. They've looked at, all the moving parts of an organization, customer, distribution lines, manufacturing, whatever it might be, and they've sat down behind closed doors and done some sense making. Well, I'm not here today to talk to you about that. I want you to open your doors. I want you to be thinking about this omni-channel approach, this words that's been around now for a good couple of years. And have we truly embraced it? The journey that we take people on, if that 30% increase has been on mobile, all the way then through to social media, how we do data capture, marketing automation, empathy automation, the people that pick up the phone, whether you've got chat bots using AI on your website, whatever that might be, from the person that walks into your high street store. Are you truly having a single tone of voice to be able to help them? Because if not, now is the perfect time to be able to come from a sense-making perspective. Why? Because when we think about our customers, traditionally, we would always focus on their characteristics. So, what do you watch? I love Netflix. What's your name? Where do you go? What holidays do you go on? None anymore. What hobbies do you like? Beekeeping. Where do you buy? Ocado. Who do you bank with? A digital first bank. These are all the characteristics that we would have to help us understand our customers. Times have changed, and I'm sure you've seen a change in people that you know, people that you like, and people that you trust. Because what's happened? Attitudes have changed. Belief systems have shifted. Core values have come to the front of what's important to customers. How do they need support? What are their fears? What are we curious about? What makes them angry? There's been a lot of that going on at the moment. Whether you listen to conversations that happen inside of LinkedIn, whether you're on Facebook, I don't care which medium you use to listen, I can assure you, since the beginning of the year, people's attitudes have changed. If you understand this and you understand this digital mindset, this is where sense making becomes really powerful. It's like, wow, it feels like they're inside of my head. They wrote that, they communicated with me, they had a conversation with me that was especially for me. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take you through the process of what is sense making. Sense making from the point of view of the customer. There's been a brand new piece of research that's been done around the effects of sense making when it comes to customers, directly to customers. And so I want to highlight the difference between old and the future. The first one here, giving. This is a place that we used to be in. I can give you a lot of information about that. Okay, well, I don't want a lot of information about it because I don't want to be overwhelmed. Okay, no problem at all. Well, let me tell you what you need to know. Well, how do you know what I need to know? Because actually, the question that I asked you was not really the question that I wanted the answer on because I didn't know how to express it properly. Okay, no problem at all. Well, why don't we work together? Because there's a lot of information that's out there at the moment. Let me help you make sense of it. Let's work together. Now, I've got some great examples of how both fast growth companies and traditional corporates are embracing the concept of sense making. Now, the very first one that I'd like to share with you is an organization that we all know and love, and that is Burger King. New CMO a year ago. He's looking to revolutionize the way people think about Burger King, and I love this. This is a statement of intent. Go and order from McDonald's, please. Go and order from McDonald's. What do you mean? You're telling me to go and work and buy from a competitor of yours? Yeah, I am. And not only Burger King, but we never thought we'd be asking you to do this. But go and eat at Domino's, Pizza Hut, Five Guys, Taco Bell, Greg's, whatever it might be. Go and eat from them, because we never thought we'd be asking you to do this. But we want you to support the thousands of employees at this moment in time. So if you want to treat yourself to something tasty, yes, we can go and grab something from us, a cheeky little Whopper. Or if not, guess what? Going over to McDonald's is going to be just as good. Maybe not a bad thing. This is a fantastic statement of intent from Burger King. Now, the next one that I want to share with you is a startup company, a digital first startup company where potentially your customers are listening to and buying from at the moment. Maybe not your industry, but they're listening to individuals just like this. So this here is Chrissy Seeler. You might have heard about her, but she was a law student. She was working all of the hours in the evenings, weekends, doing bartending. She had a passion for fitness. So she decided to turn to Instagram. And at the age of now 25, she has 2.3 million followers on her Instagram account. In 8 months, she generated £1 million of revenue. She created a clothing brand which sold out in 55 minutes, and she now has a team of 25 people. These are the entrepreneurs of the future, the ones that are embracing this new medium, that have adopted technology. And when I say your customers are probably following him, they probably are, because Chrissy really understands the power of sense making and also the power of putting the customer first. She uses the actions that her clients take as a part of her marketing. She truly embraced what this looks like. And I share this with you because when was the last time you did that? When was the last time you truly used a success story of a happy client and used it as a way to help make sense of what's happening out there in the market at the moment? So for me, with all of the noise that's out there at the moment, all of these conversations that are going on, all of these promises that other organizations are making, how can you be different? How can you help tomorrow's customer cope with an overabundance of seemingly high quality information in your marketplace? How can you do that? Now, I said earlier, I've got some data to back up this new way of thinking with sense making. So what you're looking at here is from Gartner. So Gartner went out and did a piece of research, and they spoke to the people that bought. So not the brands, but the people that bought. And when they spoke to them and they explained to them the difference between the telling, the showing, and the sense making, with the brands that they bought from that used the approach of sense making, how did that make them feel? Well, 61% of them said it made them less skeptical. If that brand is being open enough to talk about competitors in the marketplace and thinking about what's important to me, then it's going to be a brand that I'm going to buy from. Nearly 52% of people turned around and said, I feel more confident by working with this brand. If there's transparency there with what's going on, I have confidence of working with this brand. So this is sense making. And I would love for you to embrace the concept of sense making. But sense making doesn't just come from one particular area. It comes from understanding the science. Get the data in real time and understand what's important to your customers and your clients. And when you have that data, use the art of sense making to engage with them, to reduce skepticism, to embrace confidence and trust within your brand. Because the insight comes from the journey. We have to be brave and be kind to understand that if we're going to truly learn in this new medium, that the insight comes from the journey. So my name is Warren Knight, and I just want to say thank you very much for coming on the journey of how to have a better understanding of the future of the digital customer. Now I'm going to open up to any questions that you might have.